Good morning. Welcome to Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening Sunday morning service. Whoever you are and wherever you're from, we are glad you're here. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. Lay all your fears and all your doubts aside. Let go of all the hurt you hold inside. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. Can you feel the love of all who've gathered round? You are worthy of this gift of love right now. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. Now who'd have known that who you are is enough? And who'd have known that you could be so loved? Well, we know. Now you know. Yes, we know. Now you know. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. So let's drop into our heart. If you're not there already, let's just drop in. Know that we're welcome right here, right now. And feel in that space of connection. And let's affirm that we are alive with the spirit of love. I am 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 alive, y'all, alive with the spirit of love. Let's claim the spirit of joy. I am alive with the spirit of joy. I am alive with the spirit of joy. I am alive with the spirit of joy. I am alive, y'all, I'm alive with the spirit of joy. How about some peace? I am alive with the spirit of peace. I am alive with the spirit of peace. I am alive with the spirit of peace. I am alive, y'all, alive with the spirit of peace. I am alive with the spirit of God. I am alive with the spirit of God. I am alive with the spirit of God. I am alive, y'all, alive with the spirit of God. I am alive, y'all, alive with the spirit of God. I am alive, y'all, alive with the spirit of God. let's just breathe that in, recognizing we are alive right here, right now. And that right where we are, God is. This divine presence, by whatever name you give it, is right here and right now. And we are alive with it. We are filled with it. We are expressing as it. So let's take a moment to just drop into the breath and the truth of that. God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. Resting in the truth of this statement that right here, right now, God is. I allow myself to just be in this stillness, in this space, in this awareness that all is the divine energy of love and peace and harmony and joy moving through all of creation. That this one power and one presence that created out of itself everything that is also created me and created you. It created all of us, and we are connected inseparably, connected to this divine source. And so this morning I claim a deeper awareness of this truth. I claim for each of us the willingness to live in, as, and through this presence, letting it move in, as, and through us. As we choose joy and we choose peace and we choose to live in this awareness of connection and joy and peace and harmony and love and good. Knowing that the divine looked out upon its creation and said, yes, this is good and very good. I own that. I claim that for myself and each of us, that we are indeed divine creations. And so we live as such, moving intentionally upon this earth, through this life, moving intentionally from a place of love and mindfulness. And so I say thank you. Thank you as I also live from gratitude. I say thank you, God, for this beloved community, the Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening. Thank you for each and every member and friend joining us this morning. I am so grateful. And I relax and release this word into the law of mind action, knowing that my word is my wand, and so I choose to live in joy and peace and a gentle, sweet release with life. Thank you, God. And so it is. I choose joy. I choose peace. I choose gentle, sweet release. I choose life. I choose truth. Love is what I I choose joy. I choose peace. I choose gentle, sweet release. I choose life. I choose truth. Love is what I choose. I choose joy. I choose peace. I choose gentle, sweet release. I choose life. I choose truth. Love is what I choose. Love is what I choose. Love is what I choose.
Hello friends and family, I'm Angie Celeste Snow and I'm doing the reading today. The topic is joy, and I found a great article called Awakening Joy from Reverend Margaret Flick, and I wanted to share it with you. I hope that it resonates with you as much as it did with me. And it says, how to bring forth the joy within. Gratitude brings us joy because we are choosing to see and appreciate what has been given to us and the beauty that surrounds us. The gift we all share is life. More than 30 years ago, I was faced with dying or making a drastic change in my life. I had renounced God and had no spiritual life, but being near death brought about a shift in my being. I prayed for help and I got it. To stay alive, I needed to continue making changes in my life. I needed guidance and a new relationship to the divine. Ideas of God from my family's religion no longer worked. That God was angry, untrustworthy, and fickle. I opened my heart and my mind to discovering different ways of understanding God. Divine guidance led me to eternal gratitude. I found joy in discovering that I am loved beyond measure. I began to remember that God is love, wisdom, understanding, and power, residing within and all around me. Joy comes from our inner awareness of divine love's presence and connection to God and to each other. Joy embodies gratefulness, says Brother David Rast, the Benedictine monk who has made a life study of gratitude. It says how to cultivate more joy. In the Book of Joy, Lasting Happiness in a Changing World by Dalai Lama, it explains how to cultivate joy. Joy is the reward, really, of seeking to give joy to others. When we show compassion, when we show caring, when you show love to others, do things for others in a wonderful way, you have a deep joy that you can get in no other way. You can't buy that with money. You can be the richest person on earth, but if you care only about yourself, I bet my bottom dollar you will not be happy and joyful. But when you are caring, compassionate, more concerned about the welfare of others than with your own, wonderfully, you will suddenly feel a warm glow in your heart because you have, in fact, wiped the tears from the eyes of another. Joy can be a connection with other people, with nature, and with other beings. It is a wonder, the delight, the welling up of loving energy, so that we feel our connection to God in all its forms. That brings forth the light of the soul as joy. It can be the joy of the start of a snowfall, the first signs of spring, the birth of a child, the stars at night. It is seeing the miracle of life and celebrating that. Monitor troubling thoughts and feelings and ask whether these things are really true. Forgive yourselves for thinking those thoughts. Keep a gratitude journal. Mindfully walk in nature. Pray and meditate on one aspect of creation. Be generous with time, talent, and treasure. And remember, joy is your connection with the divine and all creation, and it is eternal. We cannot be separate from God and all its manifestations. Anything that heightens our awareness of the One will stir up that joy in our divine nature. And I say that I have joy whenever I am dancing or frolicking or doing all kinds of different things. I love connecting with other people, and I've actually found whenever I take a break and I'm not meditating like I want to, or I'm not connecting like I usually do, I stop smiling at strangers, and I stop taking the cart back for people at the grocery store, and I stop paying attention to the flowers that have sprung up that I always love. And it's just a way for me to track that I'm on the right path and that I feel connected and I feel the joy that I love to live with every day. So I think that it's up to all of us to find that connection and joy in our lives and see how we can spread that. I love you all, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend.
So I could have just called this talk The Joy Equation, or Pets and Dancing, the answer to joy. I don't know. But I will say that it was completely inspired by our golden retriever, because Riley does this thing where we get so excited with her, and we go, burst of joy, Riley, burst of joy, because she'll just be walking along, and all of a sudden it's like she just gets this bug, and she takes off running, and she runs, and she tears, and she runs around, and she play bows to the other dog, and she play bows to the cats, and she play bows to us, and she runs, and she just has these bursts of pure bliss. And I was thinking about that and how we have such a gift in this life to live in a state of bliss. Now, I'm not saying there's not low times. We'll talk a little bit about that. But to continually bring our focus back to joy and knowing that we are hardwired for joy. That's why it feels so good, and that's why we know when we're off, right? But to bring ourselves back to that and to live, as Alan Cohen talked about in his book back in the 90s. He wrote a book called Joy is My Compass. And I was thinking about that when I was thinking about Riley running around. Her joy is her compass, right? And we learn so much from our pets, how to be in the moment and how to be, or if you're looking at cats, how to have your needs met, but how to be in the moment, how to have your needs met, and how to live in joy and peace. And so I was thinking about Alan Cohen and how it was such a pleasure to meet him. Years ago, I was on the planning committee for the Circle of Love Gathering, and on the board with that organization for many years, and loved serving there. Anyway, we had this opening in our schedule. We weren't sure who we were going to have as our keynote, and we really would love to have Alan Cohen or someone like him, but our budget wasn't exactly matching up. And turned out he was, I believe, visiting family, or I don't remember how. He ended up his schedule had him in Atlanta. Maybe it was another speaking engagement. Don't know. But his schedule had him in Atlanta the same time as our Circle of Love gathering, and we reached out, and he knew that we couldn't afford him, and he said, I want to come. He lived by example, what he talked about in that book, Joy is My Compass, just following his joy. He followed his heart and his joy. And so I was thinking about that, and how it took me back to like pulling that book back off the shelf that I haven't picked up in years and years, and how he talks about in there having near life experiences. Instead of focusing on is there life after death, focusing on is there life before death? How can we be more alive? He talks about something he calls the near life experience. The near life experience are also called in body experience, IBEs instead of NDEs, right? IBEs, in body experience. These peak experiences of joy. And how important those are to living a fulfilled life, or as Joseph Campbell talks about, living a life where we follow our bliss. And when we do that, the universe opens up doors where there were once walls. Following our bliss, following our joy. What does that mean, and why is it important? It means that is our birthright. That is our given nature, to live in a space of joy, from a place of joy. And it's important. It's important because that's why we feel off, when we're not living in that place of joy. Alan Cohen also has a quote that says, playing is just as important as praying. I love that. That's one of the reasons that my wife Angie and I created Awaken Within retreats, because we enjoy doing the deep dives on the spiritual mastery stuff. You know, we enjoy doing retreats like things to heal trauma and all these different kind of heavy things, right? But we also enjoy the frolics, the getting out and just playing in nature, because it taps us into our joy. It's so important to tap into our joy because there's actually science behind it. And I know you've heard me talk about this before, but our mind doesn't know the difference between a real and an imagined event. And our mind creates our inner state, which affects our body. So our mind and our body are being affected by what we are submerging ourselves in, emerging out of, submersing ourselves into. There we go. Our mind and our body are affected by this inner state of joy or discomfort and focusing on the painful things in life. Our body is affected. Our mind is affected. Our energy field is affected. And that creates and maintains an attractor factor, and we just continue to pull to us things that match it. So the more that we can take our focus and put it back on our joy, the more that we can continue to create this continual dance. There's that dance again. Dance of joy. So I was thinking about the show from last weekend. I'm still flying high. Thank you to everyone that came out to the Evening Muse in support of my acoustic music show with my band. It was such an amazing time. And I was thinking about how much joy that gave me. Performing gives me so much joy. And that particular show was just so much fun. I didn't want it to be over. And I was thinking about how that relates to this talk. And I was reminded of, all of our practice sessions. Here we were, our electric guitar player, she comes from Winston-Salem. Rochelle, our drummer, she's living in the Statesville area, so she's driving in. Kim's driving in. Brenda and Gina, of course, have Eastside Local. They're working all day at their own restaurant, and I'm doing the work with the church and all the other things that I do, and sometimes driving in from an hour or two away to make these rehearsals. Right? We're all like coming in after full long weeks and long days into these rehearsals. And yet, each and every time, we didn't want it to be over. That's amazing to me. It's work, right? You're lugging in equipment, you're standing, and you're giving 100% of your energy for hours. We would practice for 4 and 5 hours. And every single time we didn't want it to be over in the practice session either, because we were in our joy. And so that joy breeds joy. That joy spilled over into the show. And we just had more and more of that joy because we kept returning to the joy because we're doing what we love. Now, I know everyone's not a musician, and you may say, well, that's easy for you to say you get to play a musical instrument. Yeah, it is wonderful. And you don't have to be a musician to live in your joy. We all have that opportunity. We all are hardwired for joy. And when you're not in it because it doesn't feel good. When you're having those peak experiences because you're floating. You're floating with the divine. That's what we want to continually come back to and allow those peak experiences to be more and more and more and more of our life experience so that we can have in-body experiences, have life before death, really living experiences. I remember another time I had a really high peak experience. I was performing at a place called the Barking Spider up in Cleveland, Ohio. And they had arranged a radio performance for me right before the show. And my plan was to get there and have all day to just hang out in Cleveland and see some friends, maybe go to dinner. One thing led to another. I don't remember how many things happened, but construction, car issue, like one thing after another. Next thing you know, the 8-hour drive became a 12-hour drive, and I pulled in literally when the radio show was starting. And the radio show backed right up to the performance. So I didn't even have time to go to the bathroom. I walked straight. They were waiting for me in the parking lot. I walked straight out of my car in front of a microphone on the radio, finished the radio, walked straight into the show, walked on stage. My guitar was there, and I started the show, and I played for 2 or 3 hours. Still didn't go to the bathroom. And was, looking back on that, I've looked back on it many, many times at how euphoric, how elated I was because I was living my joy, even though I had just spent all that time in the car, which is hard work when you're traveling like that, and expended all that energy. And yet I was flying high because I was living from my joy. You know, I've heard the saying, don't waste your miracle on your pain. I think so often we waste our miracle of life on our pain of our problems instead of living in and as the solution in our lives. Don't waste your miracle on your pain. Don't waste your miracle of living and the miracle of being able to choose a different direction, to choose a different experience, to choose to come back to joy. Let yourself come back to joy. I love the pelican. It's one of my favorite animals to look at when thinking about the symbolism. And this beautiful bird, it has air sacs under its skin. That's how it can deep dive in, grab what it needs for nutrients, and then pop right back up. We have that same ability to deep dive into the life's experiences, even the lows when we're not feeling joy, but then to pop back up, to buoy back up, and let ourselves come back to joy. Of course, feeling your feelings, of course, experiencing the lows, because that's normal, that's understandable, that's going to happen. And when it does, to just be in that place of trust and allow, expect, surrender, and buoy right back up. Let yourself come back to joy. And to do that, we have to understand that it comes through us. It's not something that's going to be, that the performances, the rehearsals were just as joy-filled as the performance because it was coming through us. It wasn't like, oh, we'll have fun once we get on stage. No, it was coming through us all the time. So our joy, our life has to come through us to come to us. Has to come through us. Your good has to come through you to come back to you. We have to live that from the inside out. So I have a challenge for you. Your joy challenge. Your joy challenge is to find ways to be in joy every single day. And then to post it, share it. I don't care if you post it. If you're on social media, post it. That's great. But find ways to share it. Share it at, in the break room at work. Share it at a family function. But find ways to be in joy on a daily basis. And share about it and watch how contagious that is. We've been so hyper-focused on the word contagious with COVID, right? Let's be joyfully contagious. Let's let our joy be contagious. So your joy challenge, find something every day to be in joy, to experience pure bliss, and share about it. We lift each other up when we do that, when we share our joy experiences. Alan Cohen said in his book that I was just referencing, The Joy is My Compass, he says, when we see choice instead of chance, we become the creator of our experience, and we claim our identity as master of our destiny. Choice instead of chance. Yeah, let's choose to live in joy and choose to be in a space of grace instead of grovel. Grace, understanding that we are held in the hands of grace all the time. And we don't have to grovel, to beg, to beseech, I just need some good luck to come my way. No, just good alignment. Just good alignment, and continually allow things to flow through us in our experience. We're hardwired for joy. Say that with me. I'm hardwired for joy. But we can program ourselves out of joy, too. We can program ourselves right out of joy if we're not living in a mindful awareness and a mindful choosing state to be in alignment with that joy. We're meant for joy, but we get to choose where our focus lies. When I was playing basketball in college, every game would be videoed, and the following practice, we would sit down after or before practice, and we would watch, usually before practice, and then we would go out and we'd work on the things that we didn't do so well in the game. So we'd watch these videos, and the coach would just, tear us apart. Tear us apart and say, okay, you right here, you see how you missed that? Okay, you right here, you see how you messed up that play? And we'd go through the whole thing, and she would say all the things that we did wrong and where we needed to improve. Understandable. That's something that's done quite a lot. And when I was after the show at the Evening Muse, I was watching videos, and I watched this one video like several times, and Angie said, "Are you looking for something?" And I said, I'm just looking for ways that we could do it even better. And then I remembered the basketball videos, and then I fast forwarded from college and remembered learning about a guy named Bear Bryant. And Bear Bryant is one of the winningest football coaches, college football coaches of all time. He coached for Alabama. And he did something different. Instead of going into those rooms with the videos and the team and showing them all the things they did wrong, he focused on what went well every single time. He brought them together and he focused on what went well. I remembered that and I started thinking, I'm not going to let my joy deplete over that show. I'm focusing on anything, any note that I missed or any place my timing could have been better. I'm going to continually focus on what went well because so much went well. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And I want to live my life that way, like Bear Bryant, focusing on what went well, helping others focus on what went well. Because if we're not careful, we'll start focusing on not just what went the way we didn't want it to, but what could go wrong. If we're not careful, we'll focus our entire energy on what could go wrong. I had a friend that I played basketball with, and she was always a wreck before the games. A wreck because her family was so hyper-critical, wanted her to be perfect. And she was just a wreck before these games. It happens with musicians. It happens with all of us if we're not mindful about keeping our focus on what went well, what will go well, trusting that it's not the personality of us, it's not even the talent in our fingers, it's the divine flowing through us, moving through and showing up as us that goes well. So our job, our only job, as I reminded my bandmates at the Evening Muse before the show, our only job is to get out of the way. Get out of the way and let the divine move through us and express uniquely as us and have fun. Playing as important as praying. Or I would even say playing as a form of praying. Being in that communion with the divine. Focusing on what went well, what goes well, what will continue to be well. Focusing on that. Focusing on the good, however, also includes focusing on the good in you. The good of you. The good. This self-love and self-acceptance is what I'm talking about. And it's so much an important part of the joy equation. Self-love and self-acceptance. We have this group, Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening. We have a group, a CCSA group, but we also have a group about daily affirmations. Feel free to join us. If you just Google daily affirmations, you'll find us. And we share every day daily affirmations. Well, Teresa Ellis, thank you for sharing this one last week. It says, if you want to soar in life, you must first learn to fly, which stands for first love you. First love you. If we are running through life looking at ways that we can hope that something's going to go well, actually, that's all we can do is just hope that something will go well. If we're not first loving ourselves enough to see our connection with the divine, to trust that there is this magnificent power and presence moving through us that creates all these abilities that we have anyway, first love you. When we do that, when we love ourselves to know and to trust in that magnificent power and presence that created us, that moves through us, when we love ourselves enough to know and connect to that first, everything else falls in place. Everything else falls in place. We're not self-conscious to break it down, do a little dance, have a little fun. We're not self-conscious to talk about our joy and to share it with other people because we're afraid that they're going to be upset with us because their life is not happy. No, let's not shrink down to those around us who are not choosing joy. Let's choose joy every single day and create this wave of joy, this contagion of joy. I'm thinking of all the different titles I could have chosen today. Joy wave, contagion of joy, whatever you want to say. Being in that place where we let love lead us. We let joy lead us. We let the bursts come. And we trust when we're in the lulls, when we're in the low spots. That's okay. We just let that flow through too and trust that the next burst of joy is going to come. You know, sweet little Riley. She's a golden, and she's getting those little gray goosels right here, little grays. We're seeing some age on our sweet girl. And so her bursts sometimes, most of the time they're a little shorter than they used to be. But they're still just as enthusiastic. And she lets them come. So whether your bursts are big, long bursts of joy or little bitty bursts of joy, look for them, expect them, surrender to them, allow them, be this contagious wave of joy. And let's create more of that in the world. You see, it's from this place of joy, joyful expectancy of good, that we ripple out more and more good. That we realize that life is not as good as it's going to be. It's just as good as it's gotten so far, and we can allow it to continue to get better and better. When we stop, drop in, take a breath, love and accept ourselves right where we are. Even if we're between bursts, it's okay. And allow ourselves to recognize that life moves through us. Joy flows as us to the degree that we allow it and that we choose it. So choose joy with me. Post about it, share about it. I want to hear about your daily joy experiment. I choose joy. And so it is. So this song I want to share with you is a song that helps me to drop in and just be at peace and allow joy to flow. So hopefully it helps you do the same. Closing my eyes to the busy world outside, as if my eyelids hold the key to my ability to breathe. Imagining no deadlines and no constraints on my time as I drift to where the music carries me. Timeless as a breeze on a blue Hawaii day, wind blowing the peace through my soul, feeling the warm sun without a care in the world, 'cause this moment is all I can know. Worries keep trying to pry my mind off the island and force me to feel them weighing me down. But I know the truth is I can have this at the ocean or in the middle of this town. Timeless as a breeze on a blue Hawaii day, wind blowing the peace through my soul, feeling the warm sun without a care in the world, 'cause this moment is all I can know. Fearless in this moment, I am free. I'm open to the world and it's open to me. Timeless as a breeze on a blue Hawaii day, wind blowing the peace through my soul, feeling the warm sun without a care in the world, 'cause this moment is all I can know. This moment is all I can know. This moment is all I can know. Surrendering into that moment. when we surrender into the moment and we allow ourselves to be right there, right here, right now, then, it's easier for us to allow life to just get better and better. When we're not living in what was or what could be, but just right here and right now and letting it evolve. So this song is about that, letting life be better and better and better. Let me tell you, the map is not the territory. This life is not your story. Your story is just a place you've been. The map is not the territory. You're more than a story. When freedom is a state of mind you're in. Ever looked at your life through the eyes of someone else? Lived a life for another and not for yourself. Well, it's not all figured out. There's always room for doubt or faith in the freedom of who you are. Let me tell you, the map is not the territory. Your life is not your story. Your story is just a place you've been. The map is not the territory. You're more than a story. When freedom is a state of mind you're in. You don't size up the Grand Canyon before you've seen it. You don't think you know Beethoven's Fifth before you've heard it. It's not just a hole in the ground. It's not just another sound. Have faith that life can be more. Let me tell you, the map is not the territory. Your life is not your story. Your story is just a place you've been. The map is not the territory. You're more than a story. When freedom is a state of mind you're in. Territory, that space between our ears. Without direction, we can wander there for years. So take each breath aware and take each step with care. Have faith in the freedom of who you are. Let me tell you, the map is not the territory. Your life is not your story. Your story is just a place you've been. You're more than a story. When freedom is a state of mind you're in. Yeah, freedom, the state of mind you're in. Let freedom be the state of mind you're in. Kids, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we love you just the way that you are. Divine love, moving through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for the good in my life. All right, so let's just breathe into the energy of gratitude together. I breathe in to gratitude. I breathe into this moment. And I say, thank you, God, for the good in my life. Thank you, God, for the breath of this life. Thank you, God, for the love in my life. I breathe in to gratitude. I breathe in to thank you. Thank you. So breathing in this gratitude this morning, and just say thank you, God, for all the good. I speak a word of gratitude for each and every member and friend joining us this morning, and for everyone who has taken ownership in this beloved idea in the mind of God that will not be denied, that is the Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening. And so I give great thanks to each and every person giving a financial gift this morning. And what I know is that it returns multiplied abundantly, because we never can outgive God. So I know for each of us that we are blessed in the giving, for it is the receiving. The giving and the receiving are one energy. So as we give, we receive, and I claim for each of us, we give from the depth of our gratitude and love. Thank you, God. I breathe in to gratitude. I breathe in to this moment. And I say, thank you, God, for the good in my life. Thank you, God, for the breath of this life. Thank you, God, for the good in my life. I breathe in to gratitude. I breathe in to thank you. Thank you. So grateful. So grateful for each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week. Please join me in our closing song, and just let the love that we have for you wash over you in this and every moment. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. We let it be. We love you, we bless you, and we thank you. Have a fantastic week.